So before I get started on my thoughts this morning, I want to say how grateful I am to be back. It's been a month. It's been longer for Barbara. It's weird not being in this room, not being a part of what happens here with all of you. So thank you for your tolerance and patience and understanding as we have worked on ourselves. I didn't have. I think the only symptom I had of COVID was a little cough, and that was like 4 weeks ago that started. But I didn't actually get tested for COVID, even though it was Barbara did, and I knew I had it, but I hadn't been tested. So last Saturday I tested. And sure enough, it came up positive, and I said, "Oh, I can't go to the center." And then masterfully, Cliff and Devon and Rodney and Wayne all made it work last week, even though I know it had some rough edges on our annual membership meeting. We got it done. So I was very grateful to all of them for that. Thank you. My topic last week was COVID and consciousness. And what I realized is I was not ready to give that talk, so it all worked out okay, and we'll let that go for another day, because what I find out is the more I learn about COVID, the less I know. So it's just one of those great mysteries in life. But here I am, and we're going to talk about love today. We're going to talk about, I'm going to start with the Hafiz poem that I love. Let me get it right. The subject tonight is love, and tomorrow night as well. And as a matter of fact, that should be our topic from now on till we die. Yes. So nothing in there tells you what love is, but it says it's worth the conversation. So let's have a conversation about love today. I've been trying for years, maybe decades, to explain to you what I've learned about love. I don't know that any of you have gotten it, but I'm going to be resilient and stick with this idea and give you some conscious reasons to perhaps see it the way I see it. So to begin with, there's the Greeks have not been helpful at all with this conversation. They came up with this idea that there are 4 kinds of love. I'm not even going to read what they are aloud, because the last one, called agape, says unconditional God love. So is it possible that there is love in the world without God? No. So how can there be 4 kinds of love? It's all God love. That's all there is. In fact, I can't tell the difference between the divine presence and love. I don't think there is a difference. I think it's the same thing. There's this thing, though, that our hearts, if you study anything about Indian spirituality, not Native American, but from the Indian subcontinent, the Hindu ways of being, they absolutely believe that the body has 7 specific points, power points, which are portals that open and close and allow energy to flow. And it is true that when we open our heart chakra, as they call it, that we can get a sense of love. But I don't believe that we're making that love or that we're receiving that love. I believe that love is a constant. It is always present everywhere. It's just that there are times when we become aware of it. So I reject this idea that there are different kinds of loves. I think there are different ways that we express our awareness of love, but that love is a constant and there's only one love. Here's another way to look at it. This is called the emotional tone scale. It is about emotions. And I've used this for decades as a tool, and I find it to be very effective and very useful in understanding where someone is functioning. This is a scale. So the top of this, now this isn't the complete scale, but it's what I wanted to share with you. There are things beyond this and below this. Enthusiasm is the highest value shown here on the tone scale. there is a value, there are values above that, but nothing that human beings are able to sustain. As an example, one that's above that is being in an ecstatic state, no, it's above blissful. Yeah, it's exhilaration is the actual word I was looking for. Exhilaration is above enthusiasm, but who can be always exhilarated? It doesn't work. The body will burn out if you're constantly exhilarated. It's like if you were on a carnival thing that goes up and down. What do we call those? Yeah, roller coaster. And like you get to the high point and then you fall. That's exhilaration. Your body can't handle that all the time. You could, if you'd go mad if you just stayed on the roller coaster all the time. So, but you can handle enthusiasm. We can all stay enthusiastic as much as we can, and we go down through that to joyfulness. And actually, I'll give you this: the highest standard of that is a state of bliss, which is above there. But it's not. We're not going to go there. So you've got all these different emotional states, and that what emotions are. Emotions is a vibration that in the higher states is very light, and in the lower states is very heavy. For example, if you go down to grief, grief is the one that we can all experience. Grief is the emotion that we fill ourselves with when we have lost something important in our lives, a person or a condition in our lives that's suddenly gone. We fill our energy field with grief, and it really works. It's very powerful that way, and hopefully we work our way out of it. The bottom one on the list is apathy. Anybody want to guess what the state is below that? Death. And death is kind of the absence of emotion, so it's a zero value. But this is it. Now, anybody see love on that list? It isn't on that list because love is not an emotion. If love were an emotion, then you could express it and experience it all the time, and you could keep from expressing it, you could withhold it, or you could be denied it. And I know there are people that think you can be denied love, but it's impossible. It can't be done. Love is always present. Love is ubiquitous. You have to know this because none of us are ever denied the presence of the divine as love. So love is not an emotion. Love is its own thing. And I believe that love and the presence of the divine are exactly the same. Our organization, our international organization, Centers for Spiritual Living, has a list of spiritual principles that we follow. Love is number 2 on that list. I think that's the perfect place for it. Oneness is the first one. And in our movement, we're here to teach oneness, but we're also here to understand love and to apply that to our lives. Even in our community, when we went through the whole process of having the entire community consider our values, our shared values, love came in number 2 there too. It's on the back wall. So love is important to all of us. Yet it's misunderstood when we think we can be denied it. It's misunderstood when we think that we can withhold it, because we can't. The thing that we can do with love is be aware of it. Now, poets and songwriters and lots of other people have for eons been trying to describe this thing called love. I Googled love yesterday. There was 1,119,000,000 entries for love on the internet. There's lots of stuff that people say about it, but not really explaining it that much. One of the best explanations I ever got about love was from a Native American shaman from South America who said that love is the glue that holds the universe together. Ooh, what a concept. It's like, and if you talk to physicists, they'll tell you there's some things they still haven't figured out about the forces of the universe. And perhaps the thing they're looking for, which they would resist, of course, using the term love, but maybe that's what they're looking for. Maybe love really does hold the universe together. It's something to think about. But what I know is that when I become aware of love, my life changes. I become peaceful. I become attentive. I'm exhilarated by it in the moment. And I love having love in my life. I tell this woman every single day how much I love her. I think every day, pretty much, yeah. Because when and we say that, we say, I love you. And that implies that it's an action, that somehow I do something to you and that's love. But that's not how it works. All that's going on when I say I love you is that I'm feeling something in me that's so powerful and so big and so clear. Maybe not in my head, but in my heart. And that thing I want to have in my life. I want to have it all the time. I want to feel it every day. And what I've found is that when I'm clear about things and I'm in that space of being aware of love, that I have that. So I said to myself, okay, so you're going to talk about love. What do you want people to know? There's got to be a practical side to this. There's got to be a way to be in that space of awareness of the presence of the divine as love. How do you get there? Or how do you stay there? I don't know anybody that really stays there because we all get annoyed. We get upset. We get afraid sometimes of things. And when you're doing those things, you're not aware of love. Being aware of love happens when you're being aware of love, and that is your central focus. So what things, and I'm not just talking about a relationship between two people. That's fundamental. But I'm talking about how do we have this sense of love when we're interacting with the people around us, all of them, any of them, at any time. What can we do to hold ourselves better in a place of that awareness of love? So 5 things came to me, and those are the things that I want to offer you today. If what I say works for you, use it. And if it doesn't, let it go and do something else. But really, I think the essence of what I wanted really to have with you today was an opportunity, maybe for the last time, to share with you that you cannot be denied love and you cannot withhold love. You can be miserable if you want to, but the love doesn't go anywhere. It's always there. So my 5 things about maintaining an awareness of love. The first one is avoid making others wrong. When you are making someone wrong, you are not aware of love. You're completely in your head, and you're missing the point. And other people are entitled to think whatever they want. And just because it's different than what you think does not make them wrong. Everyone is entitled to their opinion, to their perceptions, and the way they want to see the world. Yet, if anybody watches the news today, it is virtually impossible to stay in a space of love unless you're seeing everything as a prayer request. But it's like there's everybody taking sides. Everybody taking sides. It occurred to me that the one thing about that was sticking out is this idea that we as human beings, and I think, let's just call it in the United States, but it's everywhere, we have found ourselves falling into 2 camps, one of 2 camps. One is the camp that is most interested in safety, and the other camp is most interested in freedom. And people in both camps are calling the other camp wrong, especially around all this stuff around COVID. All day long, they're calling each other wrong. People who are seeking safety in their lives will wear masks. Now, I'm not saying there aren't people that are into freedom that don't wear masks, but people who are safe or who are into safety are really into mask wearing, to where they'll say, if I go into a room and there's somebody without a mask, I'm confused and bewildered and don't know what to do. Or I have to leave, or they have to leave right away. And then we have other people that will go, the most important thing for me is freedom. I don't need a government telling me what to do. I'll take care of myself. Now, the people who are in the safety, when they hear that, they're going, yeah, and you'll probably be one of the ones that dies from COVID. It's what's your perspective? Is one right and one wrong? No. It's just a perspective. So if we could stop making each other wrong about things, if we could learn how to do that, and I'm talking to myself too, if we could learn how to do that, we could stay more in a state of awareness of love. We could be in that place where we really could legitimately, sincerely say to one another, I love you. But when that kind of stuff's going on and the other person's wrong, it's just hard to do that. It's hard to do both simultaneously. I won't say it's impossible, but it's really hard work. The next one is don't expect people to change. Because people are who they are. And we have to either accept them or not. And I'm not saying you have to accept and be with everybody regardless of what it is they're doing and how they're being in the world. You don't. You don't. But expecting them to change is over the top. That's not reasonable. Especially if you're saying, I'll love you if you'll be more like me. And out goes the window any idea of unconditional love. Because our job is to love. Our job is to be aware of that love. Not as an action, but as a state of consciousness. To know the truth about ourselves. And that love permeates everything. People don't necessarily change. What you can count on people to do is be true to their nature. So if you have someone in your life that has lied to you, don't expect them to suddenly change their ethical stand on that. Somehow lying works for them. You don't need to confront them every time they do it. What you need to know is that chances are they'll do it again. And don't do that in a blaming way. Just be aware. This is where this person is. It's how they're dealing with life right now. And I will know that that's likely going to happen again. Now, when they tell you the truth, you can be delighted. But don't fall into the trap that they're never going to lie to you again because people are true to their nature. And the trick is, love them the way they are. Love them the way they are. And then it's not an issue. Yeah. Be unconditionally generous. I found this so helpful. When we are giving of our time or our money or our talents, when we're doing something that helps another, we're more likely to be in a state of an awareness of love. Because that's our natural state. Giving is why we're here. None of us came to this world just to get. If you'll notice when people leave, they don't take a damn thing with them. We're here to give. That's what we do. And when we're in that state of giving, knowing love is natural. It's effortless. It's delightful. It's fulfilling. So be generous. Acknowledge and thank everyone a lot. Boy, this has worked in my life. My job is to thank everyone for everything. Now, if I have not thanked you for something, I accept that I haven't got this down completely. But my job is to be grateful. Because when I am grateful, my life works better. When I am grateful, I am aware of the presence of the divine. When I am grateful, I know love. And just saying a simple thank you can go so far. I think I surprised Jonelle in the kitchen this morning when she came and made the coffee and set up the bread machines so that y'all could have coffee and bread later on. And I just thanked her for how much that helps in the kitchen that she comes and does that. And she was a bit startled by that. And I realized I must not be saying that enough to her. But it's okay because I said it today. And she received it joyously. And I got a couple extra hugs. And we both knew the love. There's an exercise I learned when I lived in Australia that is so about this. My teacher did this. In fact, the day I met him, the night that I met him, he had me come up on stage and do this exercise with him, and it really worked. So I want to invite you, if you can, if you can't, it's okay, don't worry about it, just feel the energy in the room. But if you can, I want you to turn to someone, and I want you to look in their eyes. You don't have to get up. Right behind you, Deidre. Elizabeth, right there. I want you to look into each other's eyes, right from where you are. And just in silence, no words, don't let the words get in the way. Be aware of the energy around your body. Now be aware of the energy around the other person's body. They have an energy field just like you do. Now what I want you to do is blend those two energy fields together. Hold that, their eyes, stay with their eyes, but imagine that your energy and theirs are suddenly all one field of energy. Now point to where in your body you feel that. Generally, everybody's pointing to their hearts. You can love, feel love, be aware of love, understand love from anyone, with anyone. Okay, thank them. And look back up here. Because you'll just keep doing that if I let you. Love is ubiquitous. It's everywhere. All we have to do is have a moment to connect and to know. And there it is. Wouldn't it be lovely if we just lived our lives that way all the time? Yeah. I think I've got one more. Find God in everyone and everything. This is the gift of the science of mind. The presence of the divine is ubiquitous. It is always everywhere. There is only one. That's the way we say it. There's only one thing going on, and that's God. God shows up as me. God shows up as you. It's all God. And when we know that and remember that, the things that we don't understand, we'll give ourselves a little time to figure out where God is in the midst of that. We'll stop making wrong. We'll stop being in struggle and realize that the presence is always there. And no matter how things look, God went nowhere. We are in the midst of the divine in our lives. And as a result, love is present. And we can express it within ourselves. We can experience it within ourselves and express ourselves through affection and affinity and joy and peace and all the other blessings of life. It's all God. It's all love. And we can't do it alone. It takes all of us to do it. So many years ago, I wrote a poem. It's in the front of my book on spiritual mind treatment. And I'm going to offer you a different rendition of it this morning, the way I'm feeling it right now. It goes like this. We live in a world created by love. Love is who we are. In all that we think and say and do, love is who we are. Before us, behind us, around us, inside us, love is who we are. We're filled, overflowing, and clear in our knowing. Love is who we are. And that being so, I want you to know I love you. God bless you.